Welcome back, everybody, to the LEC, where we have a very special guest, Markoon of XL. After XL absolutely crushed Misfits. Markoon, congratulations.
Thank you.
Speaking of Mike. So yeah, I think it's a bit hard to talk about that game because it was so convincing. So I'm just going to let you kind of summarize why you think that you stomped them so much.
I think they just inted early game, and then we just they didn't really do much, and we just closed the game out. We just took Drake, Herald. It felt very boring to play, but I don't think they just fought back at any point. They just let us kind of win the game.
The meta looks to be really interesting when you look at the first rotation you had, especially Yuumi, Twitch. We saw some really spicy picks so far. What's your take on what we've been seeing and how wide it is?
Yeah, I don't want to reveal too much, but I think the patch allowed for some more creativity in the draft, and I think it's less punishing early game with the tower damage, and also the earlier TP changes from last season also made it that snowballing the early game is very hard because you can't dive, and if you can't dive, I think early game advantages are impossible to snowball. So then you can go for more scaling options like Twitch Yuumi.
You said it was harder to snowball, but you snowballed pretty damn hard in this game. You're also the Kia player of the game. You won that one. Congratulations. We were talking a bit beforehand about XL not making any changes, and the fact that when it comes to the experience on the roster, you are the player with the least experience, which makes me think that you have tons of room to grow, which doesn't mean that you're bad now, because that's how you got it before. But you know, what does that mean for you in terms of your goals for summer and how far you can go with this roster?
I mean, yeah, all my teammates are pretty old and they've been playing for a very long time.
Not old, experienced.
Experienced, my bad. But I mean, I think for me personally, it feels really great to play with players like this. I think there's some leeway for me because, I mean, I tend to get like a little bit more emotional during scrims and stuff, and having players that they've seen it all, they've been through it all, they handle with me pretty well. And I think it's just, I'm learning a lot from like watching all these veteran players like not play in-game, but like how they act outside the game, and I'm learning from that. So it feels pretty good to have veteran players on the team, I think.
In terms of learnings, I know that you guys went to Korea, as every team basically, to bootcamp, but I think it was your first experience going there. So can you describe me how it was? Because I know that you had some really cool scrims also and a really strong team to face off. So yeah, tell me about this.
Yeah, Nelson smurfed pretty hard with the scrims. He managed to get, I think we scrimmed most MSI teams, some good LPL teams, I mean, honestly, just a huge shout out to Nelson. He just like really set us up well. And with me, Korea was very fun. I actually like enjoyed playing solo queue once again, so it's a big benefit for me. I can just play 10 hours a day. And yeah, the scrims were just on a higher level, and the higher level League of Legends I play, the more fun I have. So it was just a very good experience.
I can imagine that it's also a lot of information. That's what teams often say, because this is really unique that all these teams are going to Korea, right? Sometimes it's only the team that won the split that goes to MSI and that gets all this knowledge. How much do you think it's helping, and how do you compartmentalize that? Because I feel like you probably got so many influences, so many ideas.
I'm not sure if it's like really knowledge. I think the players are all just individually a lot better and they play better as a team. So it's more as you just have to step up. And when you're like playing scrims every day against better players, you either step up or you fall down. And I think usually if you're good players and you know how to improve, you step up. So it's not information. It's more just you have to adapt and you have to learn from how they play and then just get better. And you just I think you automatically get better when you play against better players.
Yeah,
a bit more on that maybe, because whenever I interview junglers especially, and it's their first international experience, they tend to say that, wow, the way a Korean and Chinese jungler play the game is so much different. So have you had this impression also, and anything you've been able to bring back and that's going to help you in the LEC?
I'm not sure if they play different. I think they just play better. I think they're faster and they punish laners harder when they misplay. They punish junglers harder when they misplay. So it's not different. It's just straight up better.
Okay, cool. Nice to hear. Thank you so much. Congratulations on the Kia player of the game, Markoon. And coming up next is Astralis versus G2 Esports. And we talked to Astralis' new top laner, Vizicsacsi, on his return to the league.
So yes, after I was at the World Championship with Splice, I retired and wanted to try out a few different things in life as well, other than League of Legends. So I ended up taking a German course. I improved my German and tested out another job, which was Hörakustika, which is like some hearing aid technician. There I tested it out a bit, and I also did my driving license meanwhile. So I did basically stuff that I have always wanted to do. This kind of like improve language, do driving license, try out something else. And meanwhile I just kind of like regained my passion towards the game. and I started to watch more and more League of Legends once again and started to play it more and more as well, and that's how I ended up coming back, and yeah, now I'm married as well, so a lot of things happened ever since.
Wife buff.
Apparently we were already on wife buff. This is crazy. He's like asked about what he did in the time that we didn't see him. He's like, oh, I like learned a new language. I got my driver's license. I picked up a whole new career. I was also playing a lot of League of Legends. And now I'm back in the LEC. What the hell? It's making us all feel bad. And he's married.
It's all the things I'm not. I don't have a driver's license. I'm not married. Well, I did have another job, but certainly wasn't hearing it. He's become more expertise in the entire grasp of being a human.
But what a great introduction into Vizicsacsi, who is now on Astralis. And Astralis is up versus G2. It's kind of battle of the opposite, the team that ended up winning the season over the team that was last place. So let's talk about the new additions for Astralis. We've got JeongHoon in the bot lane, but we also have Vizicsacsi and Xerxe. Fabian, you played against these guys a lot back then. What are they about?
Oh, 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I think that these two players, they're like Vizicsacsi is like very solid. He's consistent. He will. I mean, he can int sometimes, but he's usually consistent, and like he's a very good shot caller from what I've heard. And Xerxe is like the kind of cheesy jungler that will maybe cheese your red buff away, then maybe take your blue and evade some more, and kind of control the enemy jungler at all times. He's not really that much of a carry jungler, but yeah.
It's also just crazy with them. When this is recorded, I'm like 15 or 16 years old as well. So just once again, the age thing as well. I'm sorry, Sjokz. But
why are you apologizing? I'm fabulous.
Yes, that was never the question. Oh my God, why would you do that? Either way, I completely agree with Feather. And for the time being, they were players that, you know, really solidified Europe as well with the fact and international experience they got as well. But we can't stay in the past all the time, right? I generally feel like, yes, these are players that are storied, but we also need to set our expectation as to who are they now and how good are they, right? Xerxe went to NA, Vizicsacsi, as we just talked about, had a little bit of a break, came back, played LFL, but even in LFL, as you said yourself, he was consistent, but not so much that he maybe stand out too much as a carry.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. It's always a question when you bring out these players that are very experienced, how much they still have in the tank, and that's what we're going to be looking at. And on the other side of the matchup, we have Laure, who caught up backstage with G2's coach Dylan Falco on their MSI run.
Dylan, thank you for joining me ahead of your game. Welcome back to the LEC studio after MSI, especially. Can we talk about this, actually, your run in total, and how do you reflect especially on the series you played against T1?
Obviously, the series versus T1 was a bit of a stomp. It didn't really go the way we wanted it to. But I think our journey at MSI definitely had a lot of very high highs, so some low lows at the end. But I think we had a crazy win streak. We took games off of T1, off of RNG, especially some of our younger players got really valuable experiences in front of big crowds and on the international stage. So I'd say overall, like a very positive experience for us.
What is the impact of momentum, though, for a team like G2? Because it feels like, I mean, you had such a long win streak, and then the moment you lost, it feels like you weren't quite able to grasp it again.
Yeah, definitely some negative momentum when we started losing at MSI. But I do think like T1 and RNG were quite good teams, and I think we had pretty poor match preparation against PSG, so it all kind of happened to line up that way. But definitely, like, when you're winning a lot of games in a row, I think you have a lot of freedom in draft, a lot of freedom in gameplay. Like, you feel like you will win or can win, so you are a lot more free to make decisions, so for sure.
But coming back from MSI, you didn't have much time to prep, especially given the changes around the patch for summer. So how did you manage your players' time in terms of they need to rest, but also need to get ready for summer?
So we had, I think, less than 2 weeks since the end of MSI. We're definitely coming into this week with not too much practice. We just played a few days before this week. I think actually, like, gameplay-wise, we're not too rusty. We're in decent form. I think that we're a very strong team mechanically, and our scrims even this week were quite good. For me, my concern is just meta-wise. We didn't get very many games on the new patch, and you're seeing a lot of wild stuff, like there's a first pick Yuumi in this game, for example. That stuff we have a bit less experience with, so I think we'll be okay.
Well, we'll see how it plays out in the first game for you. Dylan, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Good luck against Astralis. And Sjokz, back to you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's a big question, of course, always when a team comes from an international tournament, specifically Fabian, MSI, you've been in that position as well. You don't get that much time. You maybe don't feel that comfortable. How do you think that's going to affect this roster?
Yeah, it's rough because the patch is actually huge. And if you can go from like a Yuumi not being played to Yuumi being first picked because it can suddenly scale and then take over the game in the mid lane, then it's like a completely different game. So I'm really curious how they will adapt, actually.
I think it's also interesting when you take it into the context of what made G2 good when they rose towards playoffs and they had that 12-0 streak, right? They figure out the meta that just was really good at the time. The Ornn, the J-Force just played for the later team fights. Their reads back then was incredible. Now you have Dylan Caedrel. We just played a few days. That is a big strength suddenly being taken away from you. And while your, of course, individual talent on the roster is incredible with the players that they have, not being prepared for the patch also plays a huge influence.
Absolutely. So it's all going to come down to how do these players feel right now and what can they show? Febiven as a mid laner as well. What have you thought about the fact that Caps, after, I would say, a quieter period, absolutely smurfed it when it came playoffs in spring?
Yeah, I think Caps is a huge momentum player, and he's also very... From playing against him in solo queue and just knowing that this guy is very emotional, but this is why also he has such a very high skill cap, because he just keeps learning, keeps getting better, and it is just like when this guy plays against better players, he also plays better. So it's just naturally that I think he will smash it this game. Actually.
In this game, it could be a trap game for G2 fans versus Astralis. We'll see what happens. Let's head over to our casters, Caedrel and Quickshot once again.
Thank you so much, Sjokz. Welcome back to the caster desk with fans in Berlin. I am actually so excited for this game. G2 back on home soil after a wild ride at MSI. And frankly speaking, the excitement I have for Astralis cannot be put into words. Vizicsacsi, the oldest player of 2022, coming back on stage. I have a lot of love for Vizicsacsi and Xerxe. Some of the most memorable series I've ever cast were with these two players. I know what they're like behind the scenes, but off camera. I have a lot of confidence that they will be able to elevate this roster.
You seem pretty high on Astralis now.
They're making playoffs. I'll say it now, right? Week 1, day 1, I'm calling it Astralis make playoffs.
Wow.
Literally, the entire audience's jaws on the floor. It dropped and out of their masks.
Quick stats, whack statements. We'll see if it lives up. But we are just about ready to jump into draft for game 4 of day 1.
Groovy. Mellow tones as they take us into draft. Quick stats, whack statements. I'm on record that I think this Astralis roster can and will make playoffs. And when they beat G2 now, you're all going to have to bow down.
Ooh, are they going to beat G2 now as well? Okay, now I'm really excited. You got me pumped, Trevor.
Yuumi's banned.
You know what else gets me pumped? Yuumi's banned.
Are we going to see a lot of Yuumi this weekend?
I hope not, Trevor. But it looks like it. Yeah, but Ornn banned away, Yuumi banned away, Kalista, bot lane bans, we expect Lucian. There it is, taken off the board. Wukong, Viego, Estriel, Senna, these are the kind of contention picks. We also saw a high prior on Gwen in the early rotations of the draft. Xinzao as well, it's one of those AD junglers that have come to fruition. I just wonder, you know, G2, new patch, all these other teams that have been scrimming on the newer patches. G2 obviously a little bit slower out the gates we expect. For example, RNG last year won MSI, and in summer I think they had a 0-6-0-7 record coming into it. Then they made this miracle run to playoffs.
Conversely, G2 as a team and an organization have always been very comfortable experimenting and trying all sorts of different things. So if there were a team that you were to bet money on that could do something a little different, a little unexpected, I think it might be this squad. You were talking about carry as Yasuo earlier today, and I was thinking to myself, what will Flakked and Targamas run in the bottom lane? Are they going to be bold like we saw when Perks was there, for example?
Yeah, we saw Flakked Sion in MSI. Didn't look too shabby.
Yeah.
But Zeri's going to be picked up for him, we expect, in the bot lane. Viktor, early rotation for Astralis. Now, the last game we saw Viktor banned away on blue side as a target ban to deny that, I believe it was from BTO being able to pick it. Exile took it away from him. And so we're seeing EU teams quite high prior on Viktor. Xerxe doesn't go for the Viego, doesn't go for any AD jungler, just instantly picks up his Volibear. And we know Xerxe, I played against Xerxe in 2019. Every time you play against him, you have no bloody clue what he's going to pick. He's the player of Warwick, Hecarim, Zac. He played all these whack champs when they weren't really meta, but he opts to the Volibear.
This time round, what will he do with it? Can he have the same early game impact that we saw from Markoon just moments ago? This Viktor, by the way, will be Dajor's first of the year. Gangplank has been locked in, so no giant surprises yet. Gangplank 2 games played this year. BrokenBlade hasn't won either of them.
I just checked that as well,
Yeah,
Trevor.
there we go.
You see, we're on the same wavelength as well. I was looking at his GP
And
stats.
by statistical, historical stats, this is pointing towards a loss for BrokenBlade's Gangplank.
Hey, that's exactly how it goes, and there's Jankos' jungle pick. Trundle picked up against the Volibear. Wow, are we in Season 10, I think it was, this jungle matchup? Trundle and Volibear, of course, good if you build towards tank. You can take away those resistances and be a bit more of a nuisance in team fights with the pillar.
So, of course, maybe anticipating more tanks coming out of the side of Astralis. One of the first bans was Ornn with the Volibear in the jungle already. Trundle's going to do very well with that subjugate, stripping away and allowing Flakked Zeri to just dash around and look for kills. Another Twitch.
I think I know who Astralis have been scrimming. They obviously have the prior on Twitch without the Yuumi, interestingly enough.
What do you want to see it paired with?
Well, I expect it to be with some kind of range support. You know, when Yumi's down, I think of Twitch Lulu. We'll see if G2 gives that over to them. Twitch could work with a melee support, but a lot less peel, a lot less kind of late game hyper carry damage threat. Any kind of shields and damage buffs for Twitch are always a good sign.
Do you know what's going to be so difficult to track, even with just these 6 champions? The amount of zone control that every single one of them has, even just from, Kobbe going invisible with the ambush. The way that you position and place yourselves around team fights is going to be crucial to find success.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Renata as another pick that could kind of affect those team fights a little bit more for the Twitch on the side of Astralis. G2 with these champions walking into them, the Renata ult could do a lot of work. We'll see what they opt into, but Astralis for now targeting caps. Azir taken away, maybe an Orianna ban, some kind of control mage is what they might want to take away when they're playing for this Viktor, but no ban from Astralis. I think I see JeongHoon laughing a bit, so maybe they just missed that one by accident.
Does seem to be the case. Maybe some nerves here on the stage. For the first time in summer, we'll get confirmation on that a little bit later. And for G2, they've already banned away the Lulu. Do they take away another support pick from JeongHoon? And instead, it will be a top lane. So Gnar has now been removed. And we'll start to get a bit of feel of how these compositions will shape up. You've already got a fair amount of team fight power. So we got some very loud G2 fans here in the audience.
I'm just looking at Chachi's champion pool from spring, because of course he played in the LFL. Gwen, Poppy, Ornn, GP. After that, it's just 0% winning on everything, and there's the Gwen. So by process of elimination, that's exactly the conclusion which I expected him to come to, just pick up the Gwen. But now Astralis, similar comp to Excel in that they have a lot of magic damage, right? They need to be very careful here. I wonder what they're going to pick up for support. Could be a range support. Karma, Renata could go for engage. G2 rounding out mid and support here themselves. I think some kind of engage support blind would do very well. Something that can jump on top of the Twitch, Nautilus, Alistar.
I mean, I think the same statement could be true for JeongHoon. Because when you look at this Astralis squad, there's a lot of conditional engage. On the side of G2, some pokes, some tools. The Pillar of Ice, the Sleepy Trouble Bubble.
Is Targamas giving
long range?
Shout out to Carrier there. He's just like, you did it, I want to do it as well. Hang on a second.
I'm holding my breath because we don't know what direction this is going.
Hang on a second.
There we go. There we go. You wanted the hard engage. You wanted the tools to do so. That was going to be one of them. Instead, it's going to be the counter-engage tools.
Oh!
And Soraka insta-look! Oh, okay. Wait.
Okay. So, Soraka instantly picked up as an answer to Renata. I mean, this is something that they must have had sort of pre-planned, ready to go. Picked up a lot. It will be a lot of healing for the team. Again, a lot of AP for Astralis. I'm a little bit worried for that, but okay. Soraka into Renata. We'll see who gets the push in this lane.
Before we get to lane, zoom out and tell me how these comps are supposed to work.
Well, I think we have a lot of team fight on both of these champions. I mean, G2 maybe could get a little bit more side lane depending on which top laner is ahead, but that won't be the real main kind of crutch of both these comps. I think both these comps just want to play for team fights. Zoe has a little bit of poke, Twitch has a little bit of surprise factor. Astralis lack a little bit of engage, whereas G2 can kind of drop a GP ult on top of Twitch, which I think is just so powerful. You know, Senna, Twitch, these immobile AD carries against GP struggle so much, and they want to secure that for themselves, as well as the Trundle pillar.
Of course, And we need to see how well these teams play out. The compositions, drastically different looks across the 4 games that we've had today, as is to be expected. New season, new players, new approach to the game, but then also 2 gigantic patches that teams still have to adapt and learn. It'll take 2, 3, 4 weeks before we start to see some trends coming into place. I'm scared that Yuumi has already showed up several times, but I'm excited that Twitch is making his way into multiple games. Because Kobbe's definitely going to want to emulate performance.
And
Echo.
Echo. Yeah, I was just going to say, looking at the patches, Grievous Wounds got nerfed, Soraka's heals got nerfed a bit as well, but game 4, we're ready to go and get onto the Rift.
Marcus Aurelius, welcome to Summoner's Rift. Quick stats, wax statements. How many Soraka games have been played in Europe this year? The answer is 1.
Okay.
Limit played the champion, and he won with it.
Okay, so you're telling me, with BrokenBlade having never won a game on Gangplank, and Soraka having never lost a game in the LEC, that Astralis is going to win?
That is how it works, by process of elimination. The debating technique on display is called sophistry, if anybody wants to look it up.
Numbers
right now,
don't lie.
G2 are looking to hunt JeongHoon. 3 members making their way forward. Flash heal available to him. A nice handshake onto Kobbe from Targamas. Cleanse already used and steps away. So Cleanse now on cooldown, and that was just waltzing into lane. Nice
little early ward there from G2. And as I was just about to say before we got onto the Rift, Soraka's healing went down a little bit on 12-10, but then Grievous Wounds went down as well on 12-11. So found its middle ground eventually. Its solo queue win rate kind of went from 53 to 51 and then back up again to 52.5. So it's been up and down for Soraka, but being picked up here, and I mean, will provide a lot of healing in teamfights. The problem is I feel like G2 have too much damage, I want to say, to deal with. You know, when you're playing Soraka and there's a GP ult on your head and a Trundle pillar and Zoe's landing bubbles left, right, and center, it's quite a scary thing to play up against with no cleanse on Soraka against Renata ult as well. But we'll see how it pans out in teamfights.
It's going to be very interesting to watch because, of course, all heals and shields were nerfed to keep them at relative effective power. Now that all champions have additional health and armor and MR. Obviously would have buffed that one up. Both of these duos fishing for trades, stepping back and forth, looking for auto after auto, and currently Flakked's got a minor CS advantage as he was obviously able to push Kobbe back and force that cleanse out.
I love how the camera's just stuck on bot lane. We're just going to watch this range sport matchup, see who gets to push, because for now it looks like G2 are the ones being able to dictate the way of the wave state. We'll see if Kobbe tries to push back. Both junglers pathing towards the bot side. Crab up in around 25 seconds. We'll see who gets there first to contest it. It looks like G2 will be the first ones to move into river. Jankos should win out on the 1v1. If he finds Xerxe, it's just a case of who collapses first. I mean, Flakked, when he hits level 3, could jump straight over the wall.
Oh, remember, it's so difficult to get away from that pillar. Caps throws all in, Paddle Star, auto, ignite, 150, 100, the shield comes up. Now Caps is running away. Dajor survives thanks to that shield. And while he's under pressure, Jankos and Xerxe are trading blows. JeongHoon and Kobbe stepping forward. Flash is available for him. Targamas is nearly in range. The heal comes out. The shield buys time. And all of a sudden, Jankos cannot turn it around. That's a defensive flash from Targamas. And Astralis get first blood.
TSM chance coming straight out. As Jankos goes for an invade, and we just talked about who collapses first. Astralis' bot lane could just walk into their own jungle. Dajor was hovering around. Bit of a confusing play there, but now Xerxe wrapped around. No flash on G2's bot lane. Kobbe has double buffs. Here he comes. Can they get themselves a kill? They're going to focus Targamas.
Seal silence into the root. Xerxe, he may go down first. Needs the healed, and Targamas will be taken out. JeongHoon gets the kill. Soraka, undefeated in Europe, gets the first kill and first assist.
How's your prediction rate, Trevor? When you normally predict teams to win, are you just 100% profit mode? Because right now...
Only when I'm on broadcast, because that's got to be real good feeling.
A 1.2, 1.3k gold lead for Astralis. Jankos now running towards Xerxe's Krug respawn. Will be able to take those away from him. But that's kind of like a consolation prize. Xerxe base with 2 assists. Astralis' bot lane now ahead, and they're sitting pretty comfortably. Dajor also Gonna TP back to lane, didn't lose too much to Cap so far.
Kudos here to Astralis. They have dealt with the pressure, remembering that Kobbe lost his cleanse very early on in that lane. And with Jankos making his way forward, it looked like things could get hairy. Astralis, however, fended off the pressure and then punished Jankos' invade because they were able to collapse first. It allows Astralis an 800 gold lead, and despite the fact that they have been pushed around in lane a little bit, they are the ones that have got the first few kills, and crucially one of them on Kobbe's Twitch.
Definitely isn't. Gonna rush towards that Blade of the Ruined King that we saw Patrick build straight away on the Twitch. Seems like the flavor of the month, kind of the Twitch item build straight into the Blade. It got a little bit of a buff again, I think, on 12-11 with lifesteal going towards it even more. All in all, quite a powerful item right now. Still has those double buffs, will fall off in a second, but Flakked, no flash. Maybe Astralis want to walk up here and try to poke them out. The important thing here is, of course, the Soraka so much sustain in the lane phase with the W. If Kobbe takes a bad trade, it's probably a good trade because JeongHoon can just heal him straight back up as he looks for some deep vision next to Xerxe. Jungle support coming together. Jankos might try to take the fight, but there's a support here.
All of a sudden, Caps is trying to find a paddle start. He pushes it onto the wave instead. Dajor, once again, very quick to move. One of the things I love seeing for new rosters, new teams on day one, is just how fast your team will respond to plays. As it looked like Caps was making it to the river, they would have run into 3 members of Astralis, so they maintained that lead.
Is this Caps looking for a top dive here? I mean, did get a little bit harder. Doesn't opt into it, but now he's changed his mind. Chachi's come back. You know what? Maybe I do want this dive. Does hit level 6 though. GP does have the ultimate. We'll see how Chachi plays this.
Long range paddle star. It'll take out the minions. I wondered whether or not BrokenBlade had a barrel set up. That's barrel 1 going down. Dragon has been secured. A dash away from Chachi. Needlework is available and fired away. Chachi's going low, and that was well executed from G2.
Yeah, it definitely was. I was a bit scared there for a second when the bubble missed, but they have enough damage from the Zoe W that Caps can just take him down with the electrocute as well. Ignite popped. Chachi is dead. Good dive there. Allows BrokenBlade to push in the wave. 2 plates already in his back pocket. Will be able to base, and it helps Jankos out a lot as well because he died in the jungle early on, but now he can catch a full mid-wave from Cap, so a little bit of resource in his back pocket.
Let's take a look at how this duo plays together, because I'm wondering whether or not that cask from Twitch will provide enough slow to allow the Equinox to root. When you think about how annoying that is, the slow, the silence, and then potentially a root, it looked to me like Kobbe and JeongHoon tried to throw that out a couple of times, but hadn't necessarily successfully landed it.
Not just yet. Small CS deficit in the bot side, but the kill should easily make up for it. Xerxe farming towards that level 6. GP ult being down helps Astralis' bot lane out a little bit, not under threat of that global. But it looks like Caps is the one dictating the pace of the game for G2. Every time he gets that mid-push, he's always trying to look for somewhere to roam towards.
And that's normally wherever Jankos is invading, because it has felt like Jankos is trying to pitch a tent in Astralis' jungle. Still lingering there around the red buff before he finished the recall and backs out. Currently level 5. So he has 6, and that's the rat-a-tat-tat. Looking for the contaminate, won't be able to do it. I think that used to be called expunge as well, actually. And there will be a zap in return. Here comes JeongHoon. Equinox, gonna silence, but not root.
On point with all the summoner names. I'll tell you, Trevor, honestly, I've been a pro for 4 or 5 years. I still don't know half the spell's names. Equinox had me confused for a second until you told me what the ability did.
The difference there is you actually know what to do with the spell. I just know what it's called.
Okay, small difference, yeah. But if we come together, we form a great team.
That's it.
Because I'll use the spell and you can say it.
The most useless team member ever. Let's take a look at what BrokenBlade can do here. Flashes very early, takes a bunch of needles to the back, and Xerxe is holding on to the ultimate. 2 more members, both Caps and Targamas, making their way up. Snippity snip snip. As Vizicsacsi pulls the wheel work away. That's another slow onto Xerxe. He flashes down to 100, and he gets pulled backwards, but survives. Stays alive thanks to JeongHoon. Soraka, they're just in the nick of time.
Yeah, I think JeongHoon had the bonus move speed there. Flash heal straight away to keep Xerxe alive, but that's definitely a warning sign. It's been a while since Chachi and Xerxe have played against the G2 army. All of them collapsing straight away. Caps gets a little bit of damage onto Dajor.
I also just realized as well, running the Soraka into Zoe, if you're able to get in range close enough, you can pop the Equinox down wherever Zoe's going to portal back forwards. Now that means you have to be in hella danger close range.
Trevor, did you just use hella?
Yeah, it's a word. It is a word.
I just didn't expect you to use it.
Children making up languages. Well, nevertheless,
that is hella scary if he's in range yet.
G2 have clawed back the gold deficit. BrokenBlade is pulling ahead in farm. We're 10 minutes in, and I'm very, very happy to see that both teams trading blows. You know, I think Astralis haven't necessarily been as proactive. I think they've responded more to what G2 has done.
Yeah, definitely have. I mean, just reacting to the Jankos invade, reacting to the topside play to keep him alive. And JeongHoon's actually been matching a lot of these roams from Targamas, kind of teaming up with his jungler a lot of the time, making sure he's in the vicinity. Caps using the flash he picked up there to make sure he's safe. It's probably timing out anyway, and I feel like Astralis are a bit confused here as to what their lane should be. Chachi just ran from from bot to mid, now going towards top. Kobbe ran from mid to bot. They just want to match their respective lanes. For now, Astralis, of course, have that dragon. G2 are the ones with Herald, so Astralis is going to be the ones who have to figure out where G2 want to place that Herald and try to deny as much gold as possible.
Okay.
I expect it to be top lane.
I want you to help me understand, how do you want Astralis to play this compound as we now move towards mobility on the map? Because they don't have a traditional engage. I mean, you've got flank options, I guess, with Xerxe or Chachi, but they don't have that really hard engage tool. So how do they get fight started?
I feel like it's going to have to be a pick from Kobbe maybe, or some kind of front-to-back team fight where they have some kind of setup before they walk in. Walking in against
around
GP.
An objective, maybe?
Yeah, around objective. Walking in against GP Zoe, there's no chance whatsoever if they have vision over a dragon that you're going to find your way in, especially with no hard engage. So Astralis need to make sure they're clean on the setups before these objectives spawn, or they isolate one member of G2. I think Twitch into GP is perfectly fine for the Twitch to try to assassinate him on side lane. And we'll see how far ahead this Twitch does get, but that's probably going to be their target if they can't find a way in. Xerxe coming back towards top. BrokenBlade, no flash.
Round 2, Jankos this time even closer in range. Vizicsacsi goes very, very low, throws out all the needles. Jankos going down as the storm is brought. BrokenBlade gets the kill once again. Xerxe backs out. I was so excited for Xerxe and Chachi to come back, but these two ganks, they're not doing it, boys.
Not doing it at all. Xerxe was forced away the first one, now forced away on the second. BrokenBlade wins out on the 2v2 and flashes the MSI take notes in his face. Still has the Herald here, Jankos. Does he want to use it? Dajor's roamed up towards top, so they're going to have to back away. Xerxe doesn't have the flash to gap close there if Dajor wants to force the fight. And there's Chachi's TP mid to catch the mid wave. So now the lanes again are kind of muddled up for Astralis.
And we're dead even as far as gold is concerned. Neither tower has fallen just yet. Chachi trading blow for blow with Caps for the time being, only marginally behind in CS. And just as we have a very brief moment, I just want to quickly highlight the two old boys on the Rift. 153 career games for Chachi.
Wow.
399 for Xerxe. 300 of which are in the LEC and then some international plays. And there's that Herald thrown down. It's two of the longest standing, more legendary names here in Europe.
Definitely are, and they're back, and they seem pretty hungry.
Yes.
Joining together again where they found the most of their success.
That hurts a lot.
Yeah, and that's the power of the Zoe into Soraka, right? If she's the one singled out, then the Zoe's just gonna get the kill in one spell if she gets a couple more items.
And that's with a lost chapter and a pair of boots. So Caps isn't anywhere near full power.
Oh.
That's exactly what the G2 composition wants to do. You go fishing, you set up a nice easy pond with a pillar of ice or cannon barrage, and then between Targamas and Caps, they can single out targets either with a hostile takeover, the handshake, the sleepy trouble bubble. G2 want to be the older brother, holding their hand on the forehead of the younger brother, but you can't hit me.
So first...
Berlin, this is what they want to do. Take a look here, you'll see it. You can't hit me, you can't hit me.
That actually happened to me when I was younger because my brother was so much taller than me, but Caps, he's gonna kill him!
He will indeed. The Ignite's burning away, Starkle comes out, and that is the save! The Wish does it! And all of a sudden, Caps is now looking for another target. Xerxe is running for his life. The top tower did fall while all of that was going on. And for the time being, JeongHoon Soraka has saved his team's lives. It has not put them in an advantageous position, though.
Has been the ambulance Soraka to keep them in this game. I mean, the gold is slowly going in G2's favor with that Herald played mid. They took a full top tower, so G2 running away with it for now. But I guess the good news for Astralis is they're able to hold on. We'll see what damage they can do when Kobbe gets 2 items, when Dajor finishes his Mythic, because they're going to need to find some kind of team fights. Right now, this Gwen in a side lane is going to get demolished by BrokenBlade, so Chachi needs some help soon.
The other thing that's going to be really difficult to deal with is just the amount of mobility on the side of G2. The fact that Cannon Barrage can impact anywhere on the map, that Zeri will be able to hop, skip, and jump over walls to get to different places and apply pressure. Either Vizicsacsi or Dajor, whoever's going to be holding that lane. So Kobbe also needs to be aware of where G2 may be moving, because you can counter it with that Twitch. And Kobbe for the moment, 1-0-1, Blade of the Ring King completed. Thrift jumping for Flakked, he still hasn't got his Mythic. And Astralis are starting to fall behind. 3k gold.
Yeah, you got the dragons though, so that's good. Some good late game insurance. Unfortunately for them, it's a Cloud Soul. They have a bot wave coming in.
Jankos is making his way. Silence is out. Rat-a-tat-tat. Bring the storm, Xerxe. He decides to drop the lightning and walk away. Dajor's coming through the river. Jankos is on red. And Caps will just continue putting pressure on the tower. I mean, Caedrel, 15 minutes in, this has been non-stop. Both teams fighting for kills, for positioning on the map, and for objectives. JeongHoon gets crunched down. I think he was subjugated as well. Jankos starts to step forward. Caps still not left that mid lane.
Both these teams really want to pull the trigger and fight. They just need to find the right angle. Kobbe could get Flakked here, but he's going to jump over the wall. Now Chachi's fighting BrokenBlade, action everywhere.
Man, Cannon Barrage has been dropped. Parlay to the face, flash forward, another barrel drop, needs to chain them up.
Oh,
will
baby.
be able to, not yet going to do it. Chachi escapes with his life.
Doesn't get the barrel combo to get the slow, so he can't follow up. I wonder if he had his passive there. I think BrokenBlade tried to flash auto to get the passive proc for move speed, but in the end it didn't work out. Astralis going to get this bot tier 1, get their first tower of the game, but right now the pressure for G2 is in this top side. Caps and BrokenBlade, the solo lane slowly getting ahead.
This is huge though. Astralis, they are keeping the goal difference close. They've opened up the map. They've got 2 dragons to their name, and crucially, they're not just letting G2 run away with the game. Xerxe is looking for opportunities. I would not say all of them have been very successful,
no,
but that's going to be how this team needs to get themselves back into this game. I do think Xerxe or Chachi are going to have to be one of the players that at least pulls focus to allow Kobbe to unload.
Definitely will have to be, and I think just punishing G2's mistakes. Knowing when they're overstepping is important, because yes, they can get ahead and yes, they can start moving into your jungle, but you have to realize at what point are they just getting a little bit too cocky. When Jankos goes for your Gromp at level 3, you have to just punish it straight away, and they did. So we'll see if they can do that later on down the line. I think Astralis probably want to contest this next dragon, and the benefit for Astralis here is they could fight this next dragon, or they could just give it up, because G2 are 4 dragons away from a soul. That's, you know, upwards of 20 minutes game time that they could have to just buy time and slow the game down.
And we always remember fighting in a chokehold. Oh, there's a Chachi. He's going to get caught out. That is gigantic pillar of ice. JeongHoon and Xerxe making their way forward. Wish is still available. It's on cooldown for now. Equinox is dropped. Leonidas is who Astralis need to channel right now. Find a choke point. Use your AoE. Use those shields, because once you do combo, all of the area of effect damage from literally every single one of the damage dealers, if G2 are ever grouped up, they can get melted.
Definitely can. We'll see if Astralis can find that angle. For now, they're just trying to push in mid, get some pressure on the top side of the map. 48 seconds on that dragon. To me, it looks like, given this map state, Astralis is just going to give it up, but then you have to ask, what are they going to get it for? Dajor cancels his base top and does an on-the-way ping top side, so he probably wants to push for this tier 1, but G2, of course, our spring champions, know exactly what Astralis are doing. They're going to keep going bot.
Oh, look at that. Onto Chachi. The Herald will come through. So this is now on the retreat. Kobbe's waddling his way forward. 4 towers secured. 5,000 gold is the lead. And I'm going to go back to that question that I asked, how do they play this comp? Because in draft, we were kind of hoping for some sort of support with initiation, something maybe could start a fight. I just don't see how Astralis can consistently and successfully start fights.
Yeah, I mean, the Soraka pick is keeping them in it, but it's never really giving them an angle to try to turn it. So, I mean, the problem is G2 are just showing a masterclass on macro right now in the early game. They're playing on... The important thing here is they're playing on 2 lanes every single trial at a time.
My word.
They tried to do anything. Caps is just playing dodgeball with Astralis right now.
Oh! Is not going to be followed. Caps, you have to press R first, and then it'll go further. Didn't manage to make that one work, but G2 will be able to secure the dragon.
The amount of highlights Caps has done in that specific position against teams like Fnatic as well is incredible on Zoe. So you thought for a second he might go for it, but he didn't. G2, like I said, just playing on 2 lanes. Mid, top, mid, bot, top, mid. They're always making sure that every single time Astralis are playing for one objective, they're playing for 2.
Question now for you, for G2 Esports. When we take a look at the statistics on your screen, during the regular season, they went 11-7. You take a look at First Dragon, 38%. First Herald, 70%. Gold different, 200. That changed a little bit. They prioritized First Dragon at higher amounts. They had a, on average, higher gold difference at 14. Crucially, just looked more coordinated, or like they had a game plan, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like their drafts and their meta read was also quite important. I mean, they were drafting comps that scale a lot better, and they were playing for more teamfight orientated style, so that's probably why their dragon percentage went up a little bit more, because that's where their focus was. In the early games weren't so much their target. If they can get a free herald, they'll get it. If they can find a good fight, they'll get it, but they're probably happy to give it up with the comps that they were playing. Now Astralis 5-man mid to get some push. There's no objectives on the map just yet, but maybe they just want to get some control on the map.
Oh, death ray goes out as well as Gates. It's a little bit of silence being dropped into Jankos. The pillar throws JeongHoon back. He's got no flash, remember. Stormbringer used defensively. Vizicsacsi steps forward with the needles, and they're doing work. And Targamas is down. Astralis have found themselves one. The needles are not yet done as Chachi keeps snipping away. Flakked is trying to get into the fight, but he can't. Dajor's now caught and burning. He's run away for his life. JeongHoon's still got Wish available, has still got heal available.
Oh my god.
Jankos is looking for something more. Xerxe, the lightning comes down. Caps over the wall. Paddle. Star's going to fall short, but the CP Trouble Bubble does not. And that is one tired bear. Astralis pick themselves up a kill, get away, and they still have the win.
And this Soraka is like a restoration druid, and wow, just so many hots on everyone. Heal, heal, heal. No one's dropping. They still have the ultimate as well. Dajor went down to 10% in that fight, went back up to 80 almost. And Chachi was just trying to try to zone them away. He didn't have that much damage to find a kill, but bought enough time so the Astralis could kind of recollect themselves after killing Targamas and find some kind of positioning.
I really hope every single team fight for the rest of the game is like that, because that was so fun to watch. And the Astralis are still 4,000 gold down, so maybe they can start looking for some bounties a little bit, because they're going to have to try to claw back those deficits. It can get to the point where G2 just hit them with their wallets.
Yeah, so two things to look at here for Astralis. One is Chachi and one is JeongHoon, because you can see the amount of healing coming out from JeongHoon when G2 try to look for that target. Here, Jankos pops the pillar on the Soraka thinking that's the target, no flash, but there's not enough gap close. Now, Cap's playing over poke, but he might be caught here. Has flash?
Has flash available. Xerxe flashes as well. Rat-a-tat-tat! The expunge not needed. A handshake pulls Kobbe backwards, and he stays alive for Wish just a couple seconds longer. It's Targamas that picks up the kill and finds another onto Xerxe. The poison's not ticking just enough. Chachi is trying to run down Jankos and flashes over the wall. Astralis ran headfirst into G2, but got kicked out the back door.
Yeah, it's 2 for 1 in favor of G2. A lot of summoners burned on the side of G2. Flakked.
Oh man, he's looking for Chachi. Zapping over the wall. Just firing out all the bursts. Vizicsacsi dashes off, gets one more heal before he gets taken down, and now JeongHoon is dead. The healing is great when you have teammates to heal.
Astralis bit off more than they can chew, literally there with the Volibear. We'll see if they can find Dajor, but he has flash. They might turn towards this Baron. No TP on Chachi. Kobbe just respawning. As I say that, Jankos moving towards the top side, looking for red, as every jungler does when you're ahead. You look for those buffs, and if you can't get them, they're just going to back away and catch waves for now. So, not the nail in the coffin, but Astralis getting a little bit too ahead of themselves.
I mean, when you look at the minimap, Targamas and Jankos were so close by, and BrokenBlade as well. That's a bold move into darkness.
Yeah, and look where Kobbe's positioned now. He's gone so deep with no flash. He's on top of BrokenBlade, and Jankos, barrels coming in. BrokenBlade almost dies here, but the heal comes through from Flakked to keep him alive. From the poison, Jankos flashes out, so Astralis can't single out on that one target. And Jankos, with his experience here, says, what is this Gwen doing? Trying to take the pink in our face. Let's just collapse on him. Flakked gap closes. Down he goes. JeongHoon a little bit unlucky with the blast cone, but I think he would have died anyway.
Yeah, I mean, just the amount of tools that G2 can use to hop over walls or deal damage over walls, it is so difficult to deal with when you're on the run. It's 30 seconds till the next dragon. Again, G2 just continue to pull up ahead. Pillar of Ice goes up, and Astralis is somewhat split. Dajor's coming from the river. He does have teleports.
Yeah, and one thing to note again, of course, BrokenBlade has the Mortal Reminder, but it only does 40% reduced healing. It doesn't do 50% anymore, so helps the Soraka out a little bit in these team fights. So we'll keep track of the healing, as we have been doing previous fights. Astralis have found some kind of positioning for this third dragon. Chachi is a little bit split, but doesn't have TP, so G2 could try to pounce here.
This AoE could be good in the river if you can line it up. How good is your geometry, Kobbe? You find the angles necessary. Flakked fires up the zap, doesn't find the target. Sneaky Trouble Bubble almost catching Dajor. Chachi's looking to hop over the wall. Can do so, has his ghost available to him, and now all of a sudden, Xerxe angers the dragon, pulls him out to his pit. Gravity Field will buy some time. It looks like they're committing for this one. Targamas is making his way forward and waiting for the hostile takeover. It's not fired yet. That was all of a sudden Chachi buying time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 members of G2 are on him. And now they turn, and G2 will burn the dragon.
Oh, Kobbe!
Kobbe's gonna look for another one. He's untouched. The handshake gets great. There's
damage!
That's one already. Hostile takeover will will slow Kobbe down. He's going to find another ambush if he can. Get that movement speed up. G2 got the dragon. Astralis get the fight.
I think Astralis could force a Baron here if they have the confidence. 2 members down for G2, and the Soraka can heal them up, but they're not going to take that risk. Jankos and Flakked are so low. Surely this is the only window they're going to have for Baron, but they don't opt into it. 2 kills will suffice. Jankos gets the red.
How much damage did Kobbe do with his ultimate there? Because it melted the HP bars. We'll get another look at that in a moment.
Yeah, it was unbelievable the damage Kobbe did, because the problem they had here was Caps was basically just shooting fish in a barrel. He was having a ball game, and Astralis had to pull the trigger, so Xerxe just starts the dragon up. And at that point, it looks like Chachi's communication here is, okay, I'll buy time. You get the dragon, I'll try to distract them. And that's exactly what he does, but the dragon doesn't go down quick enough. And then in the face of Jankos, he just takes it away. Jankos smites it straight in front of him. Now watch Kobbe, because here, he flashes forwards to engage for his own team and make sure that they get a kill. Jeez. And then Dajor's ultimate as well follows up. So many members of G2, like he talked about in that kind of funnel, were all clumped up, took so much damage.
It is so hard to do anything because look at all of the amount of AoE CC. The zone control that the gravity field, the pillar of ice, the cask, the equinox. You move anywhere, you're stepping on mines. Astralis that time round, they get themselves a bunch of kills. They pull the gold lead a little closer, but they are still significantly behind. Xerxe is now in trouble once more. We'll need to use that Stormbringer over the wall. And G2, they are now pushing Vision deep into Astralis' jungle, and the game is just reset once more.
Yeah, Astralis are bleeding though. Look at Chachi, he's 2 levels down. He's over-grouping with his team to make sure they can contest his mid-waves. And yes, it's going even, but the Gwen just hasn't been farming these last 10 minutes. So Astralis need to make sure they keep the pace of the game going with these fights. We'll go towards bot to get 1 wave right now, but G2 in full control.
Even more importantly, Chachi's got a broken watch. Need that stopwatch available for how these team fights are playing out. Last time I saw a step forward like that, they chucked everything at G2. They don't do it this time round. And 25 minutes in, I mean, you talked about 224 CS to 166, 250 for Flakked to 213 for Kobbe. He does have, of course, 4 kills and 2 assists.
Yeah, I think that's just the nature of overgrouping a bit. But props to Dajor, held his own in lane. Caps almost got the solo kill, but he's pretty even right now. Upper level, has good CS numbers at this point in the game against Caps. So he's holding his own. We expect this rookie coming back into summer to be pretty strong. We saw good performances on the Vex in spring, and now in game 1, I believe his first time in front of a crowd, he's doing pretty damn well. We'll see if they can keep the pace up. 6k gold lead still for G2, but Astralis still holding on in these fights.
G2 looks so good in the early game. Yes, a few mistakes or a few things were punished by Astralis. But I want to see how now, first of all, G2 will close this game out. And secondly, how the Soraka will continue to develop. It's a surprise pick. I almost want to ask you to rate its impact on the game.
Oh. It's hard to tell because you never know what another support champ could have done for openings. But I'd give it a solid 8 out of 10 so far. The team fights have been great. And he's just been keeping them alive for so long and saved them from so many plays that it seems the Soraka pick is working for now.
So it's helping them lose slower, is the current translation of that in a more negative way. In a more negative way. That's why I'm here, to bring the mood down.
But Kobbe, Twitch, getting towards 3 items. We talked about Twitch last game and how powerful it can be on those item spikes. We'll keep our eyes on how much damage he can dish out. They're probably waiting for Kobbe's flash to come back up. And they know G2 don't have a Baron angle because they've had this pink just sitting in there for quite a while, and they keep showing on waves. G2 keep going from mid to bot, and there's no real objective there. Still, with this dragon coming up in 1 mid, they have about 6 to 7 minutes of time before they have to fight a soul.
And hopefully Vizicsacsi can find some experience. He's 2.5 levels down, 13 right now. BrokenBlade's making his way up to 16. The dashes over the walls, remember, the sleepy trouble bubbles, the paddles, the zaps. Teleport has been channeled here as Vizicsacsi is looking for potential flank. Paddle star hit by a minion. That's huge because it means JeongHoon's not going to lose 50% of his hit points. I'm waiting for the engage. Cannon barrage is available and not yet used. Vizicsacsi keeps everyone inside the circle. Caps is just shooting fish in a barrel. Sleepy trouble bubble onto Xerxe, and JeongHoon is the one that tanks the paddle.
Caps really is just playing dodgeball this whole game long. Astralis have to group mid to stop the siege, and G2 just want to keep sieging. Chachi's almost like the dam, and G2's all the water. He's trying to stop them from being able to get this tier 2. Even TP's in to defend 1 mid-wave, so you see the pressure that they're under from the Zoe.
If you can dodge a bubble, you can dodge a wrench. If you can dodge a paddle storm, you can dodge a zap. Patches O'Houlihan would be proud. Caps goes fishing and finally finds his targets.
Can they go towards Baron now, G2? They have a member down, or they just want to keep
Just go fishing.
poking.
Just go fishing. This is a game of dodge match ball, ladies, gentlemen, and everybody else. And right now, G2, the Purple Raptors, are pushing into Astralis.
The problem is Astralis don't have a ball. They have more of a shotgun, so they can't really get in range. They need to make sure that Kobbe can start hitting. He has flash right now, just picked up the Renan's Hurricane, so 3 items strong. They'll give up this Drake, but again, 5 minutes more time to buy before the Soul will pop. Will come up, sorry. And Baron's still up, so there's no real threat of Baron minions just yet.
Put yourself in the shoes and the minds of this Astralis roster. The new players taking to the stage, old players coming back to the stage, and literally dealing with skill shots that are not in your lane.
And our former champions.
And former champions. Like,
and Caps.
I mean, I legitimately want to go back to all of the spam from both Zeri and from Zoe that was going through the walls, and just see how many screens away they were from danger.
Yeah. Need a like a 72-inch monitor to play against these kind of champions. Dajor now caught out, GP ult popped.
That's a handshake backwards, so Xerxe will be pushed out. You know, surviving a very long time, trying to get something back from Targamas. Will it survive just long enough for the rest of the team to arrive? Hostile takeover will be traded for the Wish. It's now a 5v4. Look at that! Once again, through the wall. I did not know wall hacks were in this game. As all of a sudden they continue to push. Where is Caps? I'm waiting for the next one. Another shot! 1,500 damage combined.
My god. And the GP as well. Like, we can see the Zoe and the Zeri things, but the GP ult is doing so much too with the barrels, the Trundle pillar. Like, G2 are just farming damage down at this point, and now they're starting up the Baron. Xerxe has ult and flash to get in. He has full vision of this Baron. Does he get it?
Do you believe? No, I do not believe Baron's secured. Storms in, flashes out.
I can't believe
G2 expand.
I can't believe G2 just finished Baron when there's 3 pinks in the pit. They didn't really care at that point. Dajor gets caught out, and for a second there it looked like he could live because JeongHoon is sprinting his way down here, and when he pops the stopwatch in just a second, it looks like the Soraka's in range, but in comes BrokenBlade, manages to take him down, and from there it's a 4v5. Now Caps.
Chachi does have Ghost available. That paddle goes missing. Excuse me, teleport's now coming in. Flash forward, and Chachi's already dead.
Well, Dajor TP's in, but Jankos is there with the pillar.
Here comes Kobbe! Here comes Kobbe!
Another one!
And watches another one, bites the dust! And another one down, another one down! Astralis are running for their lives! Jankos is taking a lot of damage, but JeongHoon is now the target. Kobbe continues to fire, but there's too many targets, there's too many hit points, there's not enough lifesteal!
Oh,
Double kill for Flakked! And Astralis are aced!
40 seconds respawn timers on Kobbe and Xerxe. Dajor's laughing it off, and Caps. A lot of fancy feet, footworks there, and the ghost on Chachi bought him enough time for the rest of Astralis to arrive, but they arrive to their own funeral. They get taken down. G2 aced them clean, 5-4-0, and they should be able to end.
By my statement that this Astralis team will get better throughout the year. Take a look at their spring, summer placements, 9th, 7th, 8th, 10th. This roster will outperform all previous. Today, however, they have been destroyed by G2. G2 looking for the Nexus kill. Vizicsacsi is going to be able to hold it with all of that AoE. Baron and Powered Minions looking on the bottom lane. 14,000 gold up. In a minute and 40 seconds, they'll be able to pick up their 4th Cloud Drake. So look at that.
Yeah, I mean, Caps here finds a pick onto Chachi. The problem is, you know, you're like, oh, I can help, I can TP in, I'm coming to help you, we can maybe win this 2v1, and then Jankos comes in, and then the rest of your team's like, oh, we can come, you know, we can make it a 5 versus 3, and then by the time you arrive, you realize, wait, this was the worst idea ever, and the int chain is just way too long to recover from. Yeah, Cap just managing to live here by picking up that Zhonya's from Dajor that kind of paid back so much. Astralis collapsing here looking for the fight. JeongHoon just instantly dies to Flakked, so he can't dish out as much healing as he might want, and then it's just all down to Kobbe. How many times we said it's just Kobbe back against the wall, see how much damage he can dish out. Not enough, and BrokenBlade wasn't even there. That was a 4 versus 5.
Yeah. Oh, imagine if that was an Ornn in the top lane instead of a Gwen. Ornn was banned first round. Front line means Kobbe has no time. Nexus or the inhibitor turret is once again being focused. Kobbe actually eats a close range paddle star. Caps was interrupted. Hostile takeover will buy some time. There's on a berserk and he's dead. He's dead with the barrel and the parlay. Another one will fall as Vizicsacsi's taken out. Kobbe almost sneaky enough to take Caps down. 3 members defending a Nexus turret. Jankos throws out the pillar of filth underneath the steps. will slowly turn their attention to the Nexus turret. Zeri, as well as Zoe, having such a huge impact on this game. There's G2 now, starting to style this one out. Looking for another kill onto Xerxe. The old boy been taken out by the old man. BrokenBlade goes unstoppable. Stopwatch is popped there by Kobbe. Caps is unstoppable. Another ace at the base, and G2 are on fire.
Well, a bit of a class performance there from G2. I mean, their comp was pretty obvious in what it wants to achieve. I think they had a lot of fun playing it. Skill shot galore for them, tossing them across the walls and landing. And then that's their opening. G2 looking pretty crisp, I have to say. The early game macro was good, but then it descended a little bit into madness, where there was kind of signs where Astralis had some kind of comeback, but it was all under control, the G2 way.
It is the G2 way. Descending into madness is the G2 way. Very, very entertaining game, but I really think that it is obnoxious to deal with. You know, Astralis fell too far behind to put any vision in place to get within the range of that poke.
Yeah, they needed more gap close. They needed more engage, something that can get the Twitch in range to actually dish out damage, because, like you said, they have so many kind of balls in the dodgeball game, and Charlotte's poor them, never really anything. All they have to do was just catch them, and half the time they were getting hit in the head.
I have to ask Dylan Falco if they watched Dodgeball over the course of the holiday or the break. Because that comp definitely had Dodgeball vibes. They lined up in a row in front of a tower. They lined up in a row in front of the turret and just kept firing shots until Astralis broke.
And props to G2 in general. I mean, coming into this split, there's a lot of changes. You haven't scrimmed too much on this patch, you presume, but Dylan always has a plan. He always has one comp, one direction. His drafts were quite good in the spring, pretty much phenomenal throughout playoffs. Good at MSI. Everyone was praising the G2 drafting, and you can see it here. Pick an easy comp. Executed well.
Well, that was definitely the case. Key player of the game nominees at LEC on Twitter. BrokenBlade, Caps, or Flakked. This is super tough to figure out. I want to give a shout out, of course, to Astralis. New players making it to the stage, missing a ban for the first time there. My assumption, a little bit of nerves maybe.
Depends. You have to wonder.
See where they go. Yeah, what happens there? Yeah. It was the facial reaction that made me infer.
It's one of those moments where you just kind of have to laugh it off and be like, oh, well, sucks, but it'll be fine, right?
But I'm very interested to see what will happen with the likes of Astralis, SK, Misfits, when you see the teams that were falling towards the bottom of the table. I mean, Misfits was a huge, surprise in spring. Who's going to shake things up? Who's going to look to upset the big boys?
Yeah, you got a fresh slate in summer, right? You start 0-0 again. Super Week could be so important. Momentum is so important. So SK winning their first game, does that help them in day 2, day 3? Astralis falling short. We'll see if they can bounce back.
Yeah, definitely. We are just waiting because the second oldest man on the planet is currently getting makeup, and he needs a lot of makeup. So while we keep an eye on the makeup artists, man, they are just putting the powder on. They're just not stopping. I mean,
good old Jankos.
Jankos is just, it's a lot. Are you guys ready? We're going to find out.
He is a handsome man,
Yeah, there's still more. They still need more makeup. I mean, I wish you guys at home could see what we're seeing in Berlin. They're just caking it on. Okay, makeup off, makeup off. Thank you. Over to you, Laure Jankos.
Thank you so much, Jankos. Thank you for joining me. That was wow. Imagine having a difficult game, being flamed by Quickshot. How was that for your first game for summer? Welcome back.
I mean, it feels great, right? And it also feels great that we have such an amazing audience. So thank you all for coming.
Yeah.
Finally, we are back with everything, so very happy.
And finally, you're not the loudest around here, which feels good, honestly, after such a long time.
I could
but
be.
Anyway, more about the game. What did you feel about this revamped version of Astralis with the old guys joining in?
I mean, I think it's fine, I guess. This is the first game, right? So I'm not sure what to expect from them. I also think that we had some shaky plays in the game, right? So of course the game was not very one-sided. I also feel like the meta is long. It's just long. I don't know what to say. It's just long, so.
That's an understatement, of course. But I'm glad you mentioned these shaky plays, because even though you won, I'm not here to be nice. And let's review what went wrong, starting with the blue buff invade. Tell me why you went for this and what went wrong.
The thing is that I can get his Gramp and die for it, but if my team falls, maybe I don't die for it. So clearly it is my team's fault for not following and fighting with me. Look, enemy team collapsing 4 people to take me down.
That is insane.
4 people. It took 4 people. if this would be 3v1, I'm sure I would deal with them.
And
but they brought 4.
And for once, we have a jungler blaming the rest of the team. I mean, that's new in the LEC. Second play, I want to show you 24 minutes in. You're starting to group up for the Drake. We have the zoomed out version here because we see Caps trying to go around and flake. I want to talk about the vision you had and what went wrong in this play, Jankos.
Well, the thing is, so look at the jungler. He's making the decision to steal the Drake, and of course he steals it, right? But his team, I don't know how they lose the team fight. But anyway, I mean, I think the bubble was very good from Caps, right? But we couldn't really go on Viktor, so we were not able to kill him. And then as soon as Twitch opens up on us and we stack up, he kind of one-shots everyone. So at this point, I think the fights are actually quite difficult for us, just because they have a hyper carry that's so fast. We need to wait for more items on Zeri, and we need to land the poke, unlike which they can go forward. We have to play it patiently and slow. I think the team comp for them is honestly easier to play team fights than for us. Unless we keep the range, which we did afterwards, and we started picking up people. So I think we adapted well to our team composition. I just think that in this fight, still the team fight prowess from their team composition got us.
You did, and you managed to turn it around in the end. And talking to Dylan before the game, he was telling me that you didn't actually have enough time maybe to prep for summer, given that you just finished MSI. You were back 2 weeks later, so how was it for you from your perspective? Because you've been used to that, winning MSI in 2019 and being used to not have longer time, long enough times to prep, but how was it for you this time around?
So I think it's nice that we had time off. I'm really grateful to the coach, because of course, as the coach, he decides, right? So he could have chosen to not give us any free time, and we would be practicing extra. And the thing is, the season is very long, and there will be a break in between playoffs and regular season, blah, blah. So I think we have time. I think even if we don't go 7-0 before the break, or even if we don't go 3-0 in the opening weekend, it will not matter as long as we make playoffs and we have like a decent seed. So I'm still glad that we won Astralis, and tomorrow we have a banger coming up against Rogue, after which we face Excel on Sunday. So I think these teams had a little bit more time playing on the patch. I know that Excel was bootcamping in Korea. They were warming up against us during MSI. So I think that we can take them down. But of course, they have a little bit better meta read. But at the same time, I think we are just better team, so it's fine.
Ooh, better team. Well, exciting matchups to look ahead. Jankos, thank you so much for the interview. Good luck on the rest of the weekend.
Thank you.
And we are going to take one last break before heading up to the next matchup of the day, Rogue versus Fnatic. Don't tell anyone.